Okay, we're perfect. We're good. We're good. All right. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. I know this is last minute. Wanted to get this live in real quick before other brothers start doing their Manosphere shows today. Okay, Black Manosphere shows up today. Excuse me. Um, so I really wanted to address some things. I just listened to some of the brother Edward Anderson's review of my interview with and when the first people get in, please let me know. Just want to make sure that I am being heard. Um, I just listened to the brother, excuse me, Edward Anderson, and his review of me and FD Signifier's conversation, and I'm coming from it at another angle. So, last night, yesterday, I was kind of, a little hard on myself, beating myself up for letting certain things go, and today I'm coming at it from the other angle of speaking about the conversation, which is, it's easy to critique a conversation like that when you're not in the midst of it. Number one. Um, Thank you, Supreme Ibor. Thank you. It's easy to critique a conversation like that um, when you're not in it. Number one. Number two, Ed is correct, and I am a calmer person. That's how I speak. Um, I caught almost everything FD was attempting to do and what he was saying, but he's my guest, right? That's my guest. Number one. Number two, well, that's number two. Number three, there was no real reason for me to attempt to beat. First of all, give FD the props that he deserves and that he is an academic, or at least trending towards that direction, right? He was PhD dropout, but still he got accepted into the program, and he's the one who does from what he said, he dropped out to do YouTube, and in 2 years he's here now with 420,000 subscribers, right? So at least give him his props on that. So I couldn't have beat him over the head with certain things even if I wanted to, right? Fourth, you have to let him speak so that you can see where he's going. The one thing I'll say about Ed's review, Ed was chopping it so much so that he could give his commentary. Y'all didn't get to really see, and he skipped around a little bit. For some of you listening in from Ed's review, you didn't really get to hear the progression of the comments. And when I did beat him back, and other people that did, shout out to some of the brothers in the comments that was like, no, y'all didn't get to hear when Z said this, or y'all didn't get to hear that, or So the flow of the conversations was important for people to hear, so you can see how that went. And because I'm a lefty also, there's certain things that I understand. Now, conceding certain points, right? This is very important. This to me is the most important point. There are certain points, like something I said about Kevin's channel. You already know he's thinking it, so you just say it and concede it. Even if you don't necessarily agree with it, you concede it, and so you can move on to other points. You don't want to get stuck there. That's what he did also. For those of you that didn't see, FD also did that also. This is how you keep the conversation going, right? And FD's goal was to say, hey, I see some of you lefty brothers. Ed did actually have one point, and Ed slipped up and called me soft a couple of times. No, Ed, it's not about being soft. It's about, yes, a bit of more diplomatic, and that's just the way I am, right? That's just the way I am, and it's not gonna change. And me being in the Black Manosphere, is not gonna change that. That's just the way I move and the way I speak. It's not about being soft. You don't send your flamethrowers when you're having conversations, right, with people, right? When it's one nation and another nation have, what is it, détente, I think the term is, but it may not be, but when y'all having the knee-to-knee conversation, your flamethrowers and your snipers and your men with the finger on the trigger, the men with the finger on the trigger are next to you, but they're not the person that's sitting down doing the knee-to-knee conversation, right? And so because FD came to us and are having that conversation, as you can see with Bernard Riley also, that's not my lane. And because I'm not as well read as FD and definitely not as well read as Green Gorilla or Dr. T, I can only challenge him to a certain extent, right? That's BGS's lane. That's Dr. Ron O'Neill's lane. That's, like I said, Dr. Tommy Curry, Dr. Green Gorilla. Yes, we understand that he's going to certain people and he's picking the certain people that he's speaking to because there's something he sees in Bernard Riley. Bernard Riley is conservative, but not, there's a certain lane Bernard Riley occupies. And he came to me because, as he said, not only my system analysis, I don't buy that. I don't think it's only that. It's because he sees that I'm also left-leaning politically and I defend that position. So we understand why he's speaking to me also. Um and so that's what I'm saying, and he could have spoke to a nameless also, right? Shout out to the brother, the nameless protagonist, right? And I implored him, like you see, I directed him to Dr. Green Gorilla, to Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, and I mentioned BGS also, and be like, go, yeah, you might have issues with BGS, but go speak to those brothers, right? Speak to the people, because it depends on what you're attempting to do here. If it's just to investigate, FD already did that last year. But if your New Year's resolution is to, or if it's to take some information and bring it back to the powers that be, that's a different conversation. If it's to write us off after that, if it's to write a book after that, if it's to make another video after that, all of these things, all of these different things would mean something different. If he's here to write a book, he's gonna come at it a bit different than if he's here to take the information and give it to a higher up, which would be different if he's here to produce another video, going in on the Black Manosphere. All of these things are different. But why is he here, right? And I'm saying all of these things because it's important. So FD's engaging with us after telling us last year that he wouldn't, and it would cost $20,000 for a debate, for a conversation, right? And Mr. Z don't got no $20,000 liquid right now, so he wasn't getting that from me. But yeah, so, and even if I did, he wasn't getting that from me. So yeah, so having this conversation with the brother, I enjoyed it. Like I said, yes, there were things that I let him go with, but it was important that that happened in that way. No, I'm not necessarily a flamethrower. I can get irate, but that's not my default. And that conversation to me was important for other people to hear. Y'all already know I'm around the Black Manosphere. I'm in the Black Manosphere. Y'all already know my angle. Some of you had never heard of FD, even though we mentioned him. You've never really heard him speak. You don't necessarily know his angle. And so it was important for me to engage with him and for you to hear what he's advocating for. And it's important that when I levied him trying to tone police us, it was important that he said yes, that he is. And it was important that I then pushed back and said, yeah, that's not going to happen. And shout out to BGS. I said what BGS said in a different way, which is until you redress grievances, yeah, that's never gonna happen. And like I said, until you address what these brothers are saying, let's be honest, until y'all bring all those women to task, it ain't brothers and I would argue not just majority of the Black Manosphere, even outside of the Black Manosphere. Until y'all are honest and even give that, like Tiffany Cross, at least Tiffany Cross said it. Yeah, we know women in the media, Black women in the media have a tendency to kind of go at, be condescending to Black men. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially, what she was saying. At least she said it. Tiffany Cross said on that same video, on that same episode, she went at, she insulted Kevin Samuels and insulted you, and insulted Tariq Nasheed, which you, Kevin Samuels, Tariq Nasheed type of men. That same episode, she actually did say that. Yeah, she knows Black women have a tendency, and if Tiffany Cross, with all of that arrogance on that show, said that, then y'all know it's a problem. And it was important that I said that to FD so he could go take that back to Khadijah and T Noir and Kim from Fort Harriet. And quite frankly, he might get that from all of them except for Kim from Fort Harriet. Kim from Fort Harriet, she ain't never gonna say, yeah, I'm angry and bitter. I'm not the quote unquote light skinned pretty chick or the preference. And it feels like I'm low key being relegated to blue collar black men. And I refuse. She ain't never gonna say that's her issue. At least Chrissy pretty much told y'all she mad she ain't the preference. At least Ostefco told y'all her issue is she's not the preference. At least they're honest about it. The Kim from Fort Harriet's will not. Those are the ones that pass away like Eartha Kitt. Those are the ones compromise. Compromise with who? For what? Da, 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 da. Right. So it was important that I had that conversation with FD to say that, and to say it in that way. I understand where some of the brothers in Ed's comment section was coming from. We're coming from. Mr. Z missed this. Mr. Z missed that. Yeah, Mr. Z. Yeah, he's soft, and I hear y'all. Okay. I would have loved to see one of you brothers in the comments that were going at me have a 2-hour-long conversation with FD and see how well you fare. It's easy to talk that. You forgot you talking to an academic. It's easy to critique. That's not Monday night quarterbacking. That's why we have the term Monday night quarterback. Right? So for those of you that's like, is this Mr. Z defending himself? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It is. Right? And it was important that I spoke the way I did to Ed. That you have to and Ed understands, but there's no debate tactic or no way of speaking that FD would have not seen. So conceding certain points before the fact, saying certain things, letting other things go because it's important that I move the conversation along. That it was important that I move the conversation along, right? And so we could hit some of those points, right? It was important that he said what he said about BLM. We know why, but it was important. And the tone, and Ed caught it from the very beginning. If y'all are gonna address us, you need to address us like this. And no, and that's why I continue to say that tone policing thing not gonna happen. That's why we have this space. Brothers are not gonna walk in the door with their head down conciliatory. That's not happening. So shout out all of you black feminists that might be listening. All of you black women empowerment women that might be listening. Maybe even some of you white folks, all of you, the alphabet organizations around the country that could possibly be listening. Yeah, black men, that's dead. That's dead. We're not walking in the door conciliatory with our head down on some, yeah, we know black women are right. We're just trying to get a couple of our crumbs off the table and we're going to run and leave you guys to your big people, your adult conversation. All that kiddie table stuff is out the door. It's done. And so when FD says, how can y'all address this without the misogyny? If that's what y'all want to call it, is misogyny. And Ed is right. I should have. That's one thing I actually do agree with Ed. I should have actually asked him to define misogyny, particularly in the black community. So that was important. I did miss that. I did miss. I did miss that. Right. I did miss that opportunity. But if that's what they want to call it, is misogyny, then that's what we are. Then fine. If that's what you want to call it, if y'all think. And shout out to, once again, the brother FD. You can always come on. We can always have that conversation. But if y'all think that we're gonna address the schism in the black community, because y'all see the black women becoming more and more homeless. Y'all see them starving. Y'all saw what happened during COVID when so many of them who don't had to go and fight for toilet paper and get shoved out the way by big burly white dudes. Y'all saw that. Y'all know why those women don't have men, because they're insufferable. Shout out to the brother. Y'all know. FD, y'all know why y'all know it's because those women are insufferable. That's why they don't have men. Right? So now y'all attempting, okay, what do we got to do to get black men back at the table? We got to get them back at the table. Oh, we're scared. SYSBM and Passport Bros. Okay, we're going to pretend like we're not afraid. We're going to keep a stiff upper lip and stay stoic. But yeah, right? Keep our frame. But okay, this is a problem. How can we get them back at the table without them asking to redress grievances? It's not going to happen. Y'all, if y'all don't have them conversations with Kim, y'all better go make some phone calls and tell Real Talk with Yanni, shut the hell up. Y'all want to talk about tone policing? Y'all ain't gonna say nothing to Real Talk with Yanni. Y'all not gonna say nothing to Paris. Paris over here being interviewed by Rolling Stone. Why she keep on femicide, femicide, black femicide, black femicide? Oh no, if y'all gonna let those women keep talking and y'all think we're gonna shut up? Ha! All right. Nah, if y'all shut up first, then we can get them to be quiet. No. Ladies first, right? Oh, ladies first. Y'all think we just gonna let Chrissy keep on going in and we're not gonna say anything? These are, by the way, FD, you talking about hundreds of thousands of subscribers, right? Chrissy, Paris Milan, Real Talk with Yanni. Y'all think we just gonna let them keep on going? You forget, brother FD, you know how many of our daughters are listening to those women on their way to school right now? In the car right now? At work right now? They're, okay, let's say, okay, granted, I'm gonna throw this on the table. I don't even believe it, but I'll say this. Y'all think those women are jokes. They're not, their arm doesn't reach long. They're not influential. But they are. That's how you got the therapist. That's what I was attempting to tell you, brother FD. That's how you got the therapist. Right? And Don Calypso, what's going on? Not Boule. And Lion says, I thought you would be too tired to get on this morning, yet you're here. You are here. Or yet here you are. My apologies. I read that way backwards. Yeah, apparently I'm a glutton for punishment. Right? So it's important that we go in and, like, that's why I kept on telling FD. And this is the thing. Oh, I gotta say this too. I think Ed might have skipped over the part where, because Ed heard the part where I was like, you know, I'm gonna keep on going in on the divestors you say only have 15 subscribers, FD. But Ed missed the part of, Ed didn't watch the video where well, actually, did he say this on Bernard Riley? Ed might have not been paying attention to when FD Signifier said that on Bernard Riley's channel, where these people that, then y'all have these people that are hyper focused on the divestors who only have 15 subscribers. He was talking about me. When FD Signifier said that to Bernard Riley, I knew he was talking about me. And that's why I said it there. So when Ed heard that, he was like, those people don't only have 15 subscribers. Ed, that's what I was saying. It has to roll. You have to understand the flow of it. And I'm not saying that Ed necessarily doesn't. I'm saying many of the people in Ed's comments, because Ed was chopping up and giving his commentary, y'all didn't catch the flow of the conversation and why I was saying certain things and why I was conceding certain things early. I'm coming from Bernard Riley's interview, doing my own interview with or having my own conversation with FD Signifier, and so the conversation almost is continuing from Bernard Riley. So if you don't understand that flow, you don't understand why I said the certain things I said, particularly in the way I said them, or why I let certain things go. But it's like, okay, you and Bernard already spoke about that. There's no reason for me to go into that, and such and so forth. Eric Denman, what's going on, Eric? Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Eric said, how are you live right now? Don't you work like 7,900 hours a week? Oh, that's funny. That's funny. No, I fell asleep listening to Ed's review. I woke up finishing listening to Ed's review of me and FD's interview, and I woke up early because my lady got ready for work, and I woke up early, and I'm up. And there you go. And I'm after I get off, I'm gonna go play some Gran Turismo because I haven't played. My goal yesterday. This is what what yesterday was supposed to do because I knocked out all of my boyfriend duties on Saturday, right? Even after work, I said, she was like, "Are we going to that restaurant still, or are you trying to do that tomorrow?" I was like, and I'm supposed to go chill with my mom. I didn't do that. She's gonna have to wait until maybe next weekend, right? So I knocked out the boyfriend duties after work Saturday, right? We went to the restaurant that, by the way, dope ass kind of taqueria. Actually not kind of. It says it on the menu. So we went to this dope ass taqueria that has French fry nachos, and it was, oh, that French fry nachos was great. So instead of the tortilla chips, it's actually fries, and it has guac and all the other good stuff. The sour cream, the cheese, and when I say that shit was so good, y'all, it was so good. And you know, we got our tacos and everything, and yes, for those of you that remember, Mr. Z, didn't you go to a taco spot last week? Yeah, we went to a different. I got a problem. I got a problem. So we went to a different taco spot last week, and this week we went to another taco spot. This one was fire, absolute fire. It's far from the house, but it was absolute fire. So I knocked that out Saturday night after work, came home, took a shower change, and we went out about our way. And so yesterday's goal was to just do that live in the morning, and then go back inside and play video games pretty much all day. And yeah, that didn't happen. And shout out to the brother FD, you know, shout out to y'all for coming on the panel later on in the night. I looked it up. I pretty much did 7 hours of streaming yesterday. So it pretty much was another shift of work. So to address you, Eric, yeah, I pretty much yesterday I pretty much did another shift of work on YouTube. Right. So and shout out to all of you for listening in from the original stream where I spoke about Tracy Ellis Ross and FD, to the stream with FD, to my review of the stream where I spoke to FD, and then those of you that didn't make your way to the brother Edward Anderson. So y'all listen to streams all day, every day too, right? I don't know about that one. Don Calypso said, Eric Denman, Mr. Z is a Haitian, not Jamaican. It's the Jamaicans who work 50 jobs at once. For real, my cousin said that once when I was speaking to one of my cousins at once, and he was like, Z, man, I heard you got like 2 jobs and you do YouTube. He was like, bro, you turning yourself into a Jamaican, right? And shout out to my younger sister who's married to a Jamaican brother, right? Haitian and Jamaican unite. And me, you know, I'm in a relationship with an ADOS woman. So yeah, bro, we the United Nations of black people over here, right? Shout out to the brother BGS in here, BGS in the house, right? Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, BGS tax. Yeah, and BGS says, what? Wait a minute, why am I using YouTube? I paid for the damn StreamYards. I don't know. I don't know why it's not. I did all of that on my girl's laptop, but for some reason when I try to sign into my account on my phone now, it's not allowing me to do it. I got to figure it out. Technical difficulties. I already told y'all the owner operator is horrible at this type of stuff. I would put money BGS and some of the older brothers in here are better with the tech stuff than I am. I am like an old man when it comes to a lot of like putting things together. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's really bad, right? What's going on, Dr. Thunder? And BGS says FD did more shaming than anything else. And yeah, you caught that, BGS. And like I said, and I'm happy you said that in the comments. I don't know if you realize I pretty much said the same thing you said, not in those exact words, where you said the redressing grievances. And yeah, when he said like, what is it going to take for y'all to drop the misogyny and pretty much come to the table? I'm like, if y'all think we just gonna let the women slide with all the sexist talk, with all the misandry, oh no, brother FD, that ain't happening. Nope. Y'all either need to tell them to shut the hell up, and whatever nice way y'all gonna say it, or tell them to come to the table, pretty much conciliatory. We know black women, so they ain't gonna do it, but come to the table conciliatory. I'll say it anyway. And if that's not happening, all right then. Kim could continue to make her commentary talking about how great her life is minus her love life and her relationship life, and she can continue to lead her subscribers down the road of loneliness and misery and talking crap about black men under the guise of constructive criticism and speaking up for black women. Yeah, she could do that. That's okay, right? You say Kim care about black men. I don't know about that one. And Khadijah care about black men. Yeah, I know Khadijah got a younger brother. I don't know about that one. Like I said, y'all want us to show up how y'all want us to show up. And it's not happening. It's not going to happen. And we're not going to tone police ourselves. And like I said, until redress of grievances is coming to the table admitting that you took white supremacist tools off the table to hit black men over the head with. Use white supremacist rhetoric. Use the court system against black men. Use white racist tropes in movies against black men. Right? Benign neglect black men with the whole Kimberly Crenshaw intersectional feminist stuff. That's what redress of grievances looks like. If y'all need to know, if y'all need Mr. Z to spell it out, that's what it looks like. Admit that y'all know them white boys ain't checking and y'all using the whole divester swirler talk just to try to shame black men into being the type of men you want them to be. That's what redress of grievance look like. Redress of grievance is admitting that y'all use the court, that y'all know y'all are going to destroy your children and you still attempt to use your children against your ex-husband or your baby daddy or whoever, your ex-boyfriend. That's redress of grievances is black women for the first time maybe in American history admitting that they know what they're doing. They know they're destroying the black men, other black women, and black children, and they're doing it anyway because they angry they not white women. That's what redress of grievances look like. Don Calypso, maybe I do. Don Calypso says, Mr. Z, you need to trademark that United Nations of Black People ASAP. Right? And then, yeah, so if we need to know what redress of grievances look like, that's what it looked like. It looks like for the first time, maybe, black women admitting that they're doing messed up things, particularly the black men, knowingly, willfully. Not, I didn't know what I was doing, or I didn't calculate correctly, or I'm not doing this on purpose, or I'm doing it because you're doing it. No. No, black women don't, and I shout out to the breakdown, A Woman's Perspective. I can't remember which one of the sisters pretty much said, like, we know y'all gonna save us anyway. We know we can mess up now because a black man is gonna save us. Right? And shout out to the brother Emerald Edge, who says for the and thank you for the super chat. He says for the great job, you did well. And thank you, brother. Thank you. Right? So that goes to FD signifier. But like I said, the original topic at hand was addressing some of the comments I saw in Ed's comment section when he was reviewing the interview. I would implore some of the brothers there to listen to the interview with FD. You're still going to disagree with me, by the way. You're still going to disagree with some of the angle I came from and some of the things you think I let slide, or that I actually did let slide, let's be honest. Excuse me. And maybe my tone, but I'm not the fire breather like Ed as much as Ed, right? Like I said, I can get irate too. Mr. Z is, I'm loud, right? I can also get louder, but that's not my default, number one. Number two, I don't, excuse me, I don't address things necessarily like, like the brother Ed. And I'm addressing this the way I am on purpose, because what I'm not also going to allow to happen is what FD wanted, which is a splintering off, right? So I'm not going to allow the interview with FD for us to start arguing about angles and tactics and the way we speak and the way we debate and what we should have said and what didn't get said. I'm not going to allow this conversation to splinter us off, right? So that's important also. And that's why I'm saying it, right? I don't want to imply what I'm saying right now or suggest it. And and I don't want it to not be said, right? That's maybe some conversations we can have behind the scenes, offline, or even in the back chat on somebody's channel on what are we to do as some of these people come in and want to speak to us, as the Black Manosphere reach gets bigger, as these people attempt to have these conversations with us or debates with us. Some of the things that need to be said, some of the angles that we should maybe approach these things from, right? For some of my off-road car people, we know about approach angles, right? So yeah, my SUV and truck off-road guys. So yeah, so yeah, that it's important that I get that out there. And yeah, so this it was a to me it was a important and constructive conversation. And like I said, if the brother FD is listening in right now, which he probably isn't, but still, there is no way that black men come to the table and have a conversation with the women without the women acknowledging in a vacuum. I need to stress that. In a vacuum, the things they have said and did and gone along with over the past 5 or so decades. Brother FD, it's not happen. I talk to these brothers every day, all across the Black Manosphere, and even people that are not part of the Black Manosphere, but kind of use some of our talking points and whatnot. I would say Black Manosphere adjacent type of commentators and critiquers. Brother, we are gonna stay on this train until you and other brothers and sisters like you get those sisters over there to if they're not gonna understand where we coming from, at least shut the hell up. Because they are dangerous. And that's why I continued to bring up Mahogany Pink to you and Lexus Exodus to you. Because some of these women aren't no ones. If the therapist was using their language, if the attorney that we had to run off early last year, or was that late the year before? Was that late 2021 or was that early 2022? I can't remember. But yeah, if those people are entering our spaces or are using divester swirler rhetoric, then you need to know that rhetoric has stretched far and wide. And FD conceded that point, that they let the black men ain't ish rhetoric get a little too far. And of course he's not gonna say they let it get it too far. So he's gonna minimize it and say they let it get a little too far. It's a little too much, right? But he knows it's more than a little too much. He knows that, right? He knows it's not just a little too much. The brother FD knows, right? And him saying that when he said a little, pretty much it's a little too much, that let me know he knows it's way more than too much, and he's also he's coming into contact with that, right? And there are the lefty bread tuber, and to say something to something he said on Sitch and Adam, like I told y'all yesterday, two white dudes kind of defected from the left and now they're more center right. The reason why I would argue there's not a lot of black male bread tubers, for those of you that don't know, like BreadTube pretty much, it's like a big umbrella for like left-leaning content creators. So you could put Hassan Piker in there. You could put FD Signifier in there. Who's the brother with the dreads that sometimes reviews music? There's a couple of like lefty, but there's like, there's only a handful of black men bread tubers. And I would also say to FD, because there's a certain type of politics that we have to concede to before we can even really break into that. And conceding to black men ain't ish concepts while like sometimes implying that black women, you might be going too far. Brothers ain't gonna do that. Brothers aren't gonna, like I said, brothers are not walking in the door with their heads down saying, yes, you're right, ma'am, I'm a sexist misogynist pig who also isn't as good as a white man and don't have the money and the prestige and the status, and I'm not as good as a black woman because I don't have the moral standing and humanitarian spirit. Like, we're not walking in the door like that. We're not. And that's why I said that to you yesterday, right? Brothers are just not walking in the door like that. They're not. And that, I would argue, that is why there's not too much um, black male bread tubers. I would argue that's why there aren't that conciliatory spirit that many black women, not just swirlers and divestors, want black men to have is much of the reason why black men aren't in a lot of spaces that black women occupy. Right? And give it a second, because a paramedic or ambulance, not paramedic, ambulance is passing me, and y'all are gonna hear the sound in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there we go. All right, he's gone. All right, it was a paramedic. My bad. It was a paramedic. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so brothers are not, that's why brothers don't occupy that much of these kind of left spaces higher up, because the passport in the door is walking in the door conciliatory to black women's misandry. And that's just not a thing the masses of black men are going to engage in. The masses of black men are just not going to be apologetic about their masculinity and their manhood and like having sex with black women and women in general. They're just not going to be conciliatory about their heterosexuality and use a bunch of qualifiers for or be conciliatory to black women every conversation and use a bunch of qualifiers on why they should be able to speak. No. Right? And it's also important that I address that with the brother Ed's audience. You know, that it is true that the brother FD is choosing who he speaks to, obviously, right? And for those of you that said Mr. Z was a soft target, no. FD came over here because we're both lefties and he knows it. He also came over here to feel me out, kind of pretty much say, Z, if you would, like he said it, right? Z, if you would turn down the misogyny, and like, because that's what he calls it, right? Misogyny. Where I will, like I said, concede to Ed 1,000,000% is I should have asked him what he means by misogyny. What's the definition of misogyny for him, particularly in the black community? That's I really should have gotten that one out, right? Let's go down, Trell. Right. So, but as I was saying, he had to come in. Well, he came in to have a conversation with somebody he feels as if he's more politically aligned with, and as he said, who has a greater system analysis. I think that's important. I don't know how many of you brothers caught that. That's important, right? And as I said, if you want to tear down patriarchy, you're going to, and this is something I implied it, I didn't say it, and that's another thing I could have said, which is the left is going to have to figure out how to incentivize men in general, black men specifically, without pretty much saying, yeah, you're probably going to get married or you're probably going to have access to women. What they want to do is say, build all this, do all this, be this kick-ass man, just don't think that guarantees you any women. And like, men know nothing actually guarantees us women, but for you to say, by the way, the women are still going to be a-holes, mean, sexist, misandrous, condescending, and tell you how much they don't need you while you prop up and shore up the institutions, yeah, that's a non-starter. That's a non-starter. Right? And that's what it seems like the brother was saying. Like, prop up, shore up the institutions, help black women, um, care for black women, but don't expect anything in return. And that's like never gonna happen. Brother FD. Listen, brother FD. If you ever come across this, that's never going to happen. Propping up black women, doing for black women, caring for black women, loving on black women. And by the way, none of these things are bad in a vacuum. None of these things are bad in a vacuum, right? But doing all of that and then also saying, by the way, even when you do all of that, black man, black women still reserve the right to tell you how you ain't ish and pretty much say you're ISIS, the white man's ISIS colder, right? And that's never gonna happen, right? And for the people that were critiquing the me and FD's conversation, what's also never gonna happen, you couldn't expect for me to be hitting FD upside the head, making fun of his weight. Mr. Z got a little bit of a gut too, right? So making fun of his weight, using intersectional feminism, which he already knows we are not on that, but like saying it in a particular tone that was very condescending, and for him to stay on for 2 hours, that was never gonna happen, also, right? There was no way I was gonna be barking at him and the brother was gonna stay on for 2 hours. That was never gonna happen, right? So I took a particular angle on purpose, right? And he stayed, and y'all got to hear, and long. This is actually why I like YouTube. Long form conversations and interviews and discussions that, unlike news media, the mainstream news media, where they'll bring on a scholar or they'll bring on an academic, if they even do that anymore. And usually they even bring on a person that they already align with, and even when they bring on a person they disagree with, they have 5 minutes chopped up and it really boils down to like a 3-minute interview. Or they'll take a 10-15 minute long interview and chop it up into like a 3-minute interview. Like, that's why I like YouTube and I like some of these long form conversations, because there's no space where FD could have spoke for like 2 hours outside of like the internet. And these long form interviews that everyone gets to pick over later on and agree with certain things and disagree with certain things, and be partial on others. And like, yeah, that's one thing I actually really appreciate about YouTube. But like I said, if y'all wanted me to try to attempt to rip FD's head off and then think we were going to get a 2 hour long interview, that was never going to happen, right? At least not from my level. Maybe maybe he'll enjoy the heat of the conversation and the battle on a Green Gorilla level, or on a Dr. T level, or maybe a BGS level, Dr. Ron O'Neill, like I said, Dr. Tommy Curry. But Mr. Z does not have the tools in his wheelhouse to smoothly get at him while he stays on for 2 hours. Yeah, maybe that'll change, like I said, with the brothers, the next level up or 2 levels up. But yeah. And shout out to KW Dawn. He says there's never been a successful matriarchy in world history. Yeah, and we know. And I don't think. Okay. Let me follow what I'm saying. At least from what I'm reading from FD, they're calling what they're advocating for more egalitarian, right? Now we see it for the gynocracy, or for some of you that want to say matriarchy, for the matriarchy or the gynocracy that it is. But the word they're using is egalitarianism. And what I push back on the brother FD in saying is it's not actually even egalitarianism. It's egalitarianism in name only. The women actually want you to be a worker bee, but act like she's doing 50-50, right? And like, that's what we know. We know that's what it is. And low key, the brother FD signifier know it too. He actually conceded that. He actually said that too, right? But what they say is, oh, well, we all are taught patriarchy. It's not just the men, the women are taught. So when I say what I say, The counter to that is, well, we're all taught patriarchy. So the women are taught patriarchy too, right? And so he'll concede that. But once again, my argument is y'all are calling this thing egalitarianism, right? We want to create a more egalitarian society. And once again, like I said, the women are screaming they don't actually want this crap. Number one. Number two, you're not actually fighting for an egalitarian system. You're fighting for a matriarchal or gynocratic system where the women still feel like they're doing 50-50, and where the men will concede that the women are doing 50-50, even if the men are doing 75, even if the men are doing 80%, even if the men are doing 90. We still talk like though. And I mean, that's what you get from Kim from Fort Harriet, pretty much talking about black men like they don't do anything. Black men don't contribute nothing to the black women do all the heavy lifting in the black community, and black men are just there, if they're even just there. That's what we get from the. That's why she said she will not go to or go to a protest for a black man's life, because black men don't do enough for black women. She will not go. And you know, we brothers in this space aren't necessarily protest all the time either, right? Our politics are a little bit different than black women in that respect. Not for all of us, but for some of us. But Kim told you why she won't go to a protest, because they don't feel like black men do enough. Black men don't show up enough for black women. FD signify. Until you get sisters like Kim to stop saying stuff like that, yeah, bro, there ain't no, nah, bro, ain't no moving. Ain't no, how can we get y'all to let go to misogyny? Bruh, did you hear that? You don't hear that misandry? So you're not going to go to the protests for black men's lives, but you will eat off the table when the meal is made from that black man's life. So you perfectly okay with the BLMing of black men while you don't actually go to the protests. Yeah. And Kim from Fort Harriet gets to say that, and this is the sister you share a tent with, FD. She gets to say that. You want us to distance ourselves from some of the brothers you think are more radical, but yet you knowingly, and you said it yourself, this is the person that you share an ideological tent with. I'm just saying. And the brother, the nameless protagonist, what's going on, nameless, says that they are dealers in coping mechanisms. Yeah. Yeah. Right. And I mean, like, that's what many of their channels are. When Kim says, I may not have all the options, but she said options of choice. I still don't remember. But I have the choice not to F with you. We know that. Yeah. You're right. You're right about that, nameless. And that's all a lot of their channels are, a space for black women. And they talk about us and the he-man woman haters. But their spaces, especially for the ones of them that fashion themselves after other intellectuals, or they would call themselves intellectuals, right? And even from them, from the Kim from Fort Harriets and the Julesies, all the way to the Chrissies and the Paris Milans that keep on claiming they talking for black women. Yeah, all they're doing is dealing in coping mechanisms. You're right about that, nameless. They're going from the extreme of like just get you a non-black man, right, all the way to like, you know, lean on other people in your circle. Stop putting all of your eggs in the intimacy, romantic relationship realm. So that's Julesy side of the game, right? Julesy side of the game is the black women don't put all of your eggs in this one basket of black men, right? Kind of lean on other people in your circle. Lean on your mothers, on your fathers, on your you know, friend circle. That's Julesy side of the game. And on Chrissy and Paris Milan side of the game, in Real Talk with Yanni side of the game, it's just go get your white man. And if you want to go more extreme than that, and these are all the coping mechanisms, if you want to go more extreme than that, you get the Lexus Exodus, Mahogany Pinks, just get you a white man and also talk crap about black men on the way out the door and talk about how horrible they are. And definitely talk about how horrible they are in the presence of white folks, so maybe white folks could pick some of them off too. And when I say pick some of them off, if I gotta be visceral with y'all, I mean kill them. And don't be, hey, some of these sisters low key advocating for black men to be, I mean, y'all saw it already, so I don't even gotta say it, but they advocate for black men to be, deleted, we'll say. And David Burt, thank you for the super chat. And David Burt said, your convo helped us to see his perspective. It's appreciated. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Right. And yeah, so you know, like I said, I couldn't have beaten up on the brother too long, 2 hour long conversation. Yeah, like I said, that's not me, number one. Number two, y'all had to, and I said it, y'all have to hear how some of the brothers and sisters like him sound. These are the people that are movers and shakers behind some of the policy writers. Sometimes brothers like FD get into spaces where they help to set policy. Y'all have to hear how those people from that bubble sound. And that's why I said y'all think we're in a bubble. We think y'all in a bubble because the things we're outside with black women. The things y'all are saying, black women don't actually seem to want. Right? Shout out to the Mazda Speed Miata. I just seen somebody in a Mazda Speed Miata switching from lane to lane. Right? It actually looked kind of cool. By the way, side note, all of y'all that make fun of the little Miatas, you don't want to see a Mazda Miata on a track. Light, rear-wheel drive, and probably would out-handle just about any car you can think of, and that includes supercars. Right? So yeah, what's going on, Toya? And Toya says, good AMZ. Sorry I'm late. That's okay. Right? So, damn, I'm losing my train of thought of what I was saying before. But yeah, so yeah, I couldn't have beaten up on the brother and have a 2 hour long conversation. That was not gonna happen. It was important. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. It's important that y'all hear how some of these people that occupy this space sound. Because I make videos about it, and I'll tell y'all about FD, and I'll tell y'all about T Noir or Kim from Fort Harriet or Khadijah, but y'all don't listen to them. And I understand y'all want to protect y'all's peace and y'all space, in your psyche. I get it, but now you got to hear one of them speak, right? Because Kim would never be caught dead over here. Her pride would never, right? I maybe had a chance to speak to Ostefco in the very beginning, but that didn't happen. But Kim from Fort Harriet, Julesy, Julesy ain't gonna engage with us. That we could table that, but Khadijah probably not. And the Swirlers and Divestors are definitely not, right? But it's important that y'all got to hear FD speak, so y'all could see where y'all really disagree with him, or what y'all agree with him on, or at least what y'all disagree with his solutions on. Right? So it's important that I allowed him to speak. I asked him certain questions. He made the statements he made, so y'all could see, oh, so this is what Z was talking about. Right? And as he said, there is some cross-pollination. There is some of the people that listen to me, listen to him, right? And definitely some of the people that listen to him frequent the black manosphere. He knows that. And he's actually said as much multiple times, right? And the Nameless Protagonist says, civil rights is the framework of intersectional politics. Okay, it's moving. Intersectional political theory. Idea that civil rights was successful despite how the seventh got hijacked by gender, made female liberation be black liberation. Yes, yeah. And I think the FD signifiers understand that. I think what he would, let me kind of give this angle. pretty much the women are at the table. They got the food at the table, right? And yes, they're hoarding it. But Z and Black Manosphere, until y'all go to the table conciliatory, which that's where the tone policing comes in, y'all won't be able to eat. What he doesn't realize is we are either going to bum rush that table and snatch everything off and say, either we all eat or y'all don't eat, or we'll just make our own food. Right? We're already setting up our own table. Right? And more, because I wanted to say this, but I don't know how much of it is wishful thinking. I'll just put this out there. Let's just say more and more white society, particularly the conservatives, see the schism between black women and black men. And y'all might be playing with fire because those people might find a way to exploit the schism in a way that y'all won't appreciate. I'll say that. BGS said that's all that's left for them. I'm saying. Right? And I think that's another reason why FD and some of these other people are kind of snooping around the Black Manosphere. It's because they could feel the impending doom of not having us unified with them. Because first of all, from voting patterns shifting from men in general, black men specifically, to SYSBM and Passport Bros, and shout out to y'all for being loud as hell. That's actually a plus part. They want us to shut up about the Passport Bros, and like the woman said on Obsidian, stop singing. But y'all being so loud, the plus of that is that it's actually making them scared because the numbers are really not going to add up. And actually BGS spoke to that on a video, right? Where like you already got 2 million less men than women in the black community. Then when you count the brothers that make less than $20,000 a year, then when you count the brothers that are currently incarcerated, which is hundreds of thousands, maybe creeping to 1 million. When you do that, and then now Passport Bros, and even if it's a super small, almost insignificant number of Passport Bros, the fact that y'all are so loud about it actually it scares them. They're trying to stay stoic about it and keep a stiff upper lip, but it scares them. And it's embarrassing. That's the thing that black women really hate. It's embarrassing. The rest of the world watch black men pretty much dance when they get their passport and say, yeah, I'm out. The black community's relationship with black men, how the black community has allowed black women to speak about black men is so horrible that I am going to spend hundreds of dollars, get this passport, spend maybe a couple $1,000s or save a couple $1,000s to go overseas to enjoy my life or to find a wife. Ooh, Mr. Z and the ramen. I'm good, right? And BGS says white women don't want this either, right? And yeah, of course white women don't want the Passport Bros either. Yes, right? Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. So yeah, so you know, like I said, that's one of the plus points of the Passport Bros being so loud, right? That's actually a plus, right? And yeah, they tried to tar and feather Austin Holloman, and we pretty much fixed that situation in a couple days. They got to run with it for like about 2-3 days, and we fixed it. He don't look too crazy anymore now, does he? Right? We found out that homegirl is a feminist and she a zaddy lover. Took about 2-3 days. Right? That's like the person that looked like they went in the fight in the beginning and then they not winning the fight. Right? So, yeah, and then, you know, there was certain other brothers that are not part of the Black Manosphere that tried to, look. You see what's happening? You see? You know, and yeah, those brothers, they're kind of looking a little foolish right now. Like I said, you're not going to, on the other side, let me say this for a certain content creator, who's not Black Manosphere, but kind of Black Manosphere adjacent, while he pokes fun at us, while he uses some of the talking points from here. Um, what's also, let me say this, what's not going to happen, because it's not going to happen. You're not going to pressure black men to die trying to become millionaires and billionaires. It's not going to happen. You're not going to threaten them that if they don't build Wakanda tomorrow, that they're going to die of starvation. And there's this particular brother that makes content, right, that pretty much that's his angle. Build Wakanda tomorrow, become a white hyper-capitalist painted black tomorrow, today, yesterday, or die of starvation with no women. And he did make some content about Austin and Passport Bros, kind of poking fun. And yeah, no, right? And so, and I say that, let me make sure I say that. Let's start with the brother FD Signifier. Like I said, until the redress of grievances happens and black women admit what they've said and done throughout the past decades, knowingly, willfully, and knowing, I want to be very clear what I'm saying. Not I did because you did, black man. No, unacceptable. Not I did because I didn't calculate correctly, or I'm sorry without addressing what you did. No. None of that. None of the just the I'm sorry but really not sorry. I'm just saying that just to shut you up. No. Detailed, point by point, because I know this is never going to happen, so I could be as insane with this as I want. Detailed, point by point. I did this and I knew, I did that and I knew, I did this and I knew type of conversation. The I did it because I wanted to do it, because I wanted to see you hurt, and it ended up biting you in the butt, biting me in the butt, and biting the kids in the butt. Until we get that from black women, oh no, you could kick rocks. And I know it's never gonna happen, so I can say it. That's number one. Number two, to the brothers that were critiquing my interview with FD Signifier. What was never going to happen was I was going to be beating up and insulting FD Signifier, and the brother was going to stay on for 2 hours. That was like never going to happen. That I was going to be barking on him or loud talking him, and he was going to stay on for 2 hours. That was never going to happen. What was not going to happen also was that I was going to attempt to like out academic FD Signifier. That I'm not an academic. That was never going to happen either. Right? Mr. Z conceded certain points that I knew, because you gotta remember, FD Signifier been snooping around the space for at least a year. At least. So he knows certain things already, right? He's heard certain things already. So it was important that I just kind of throw them out there and keep on moving, right? And pause for the cause. I'll get to this in a minute, but Eric Deadman says, was Jason Black shaming Austin? That's the impression he gave me, right? I'll go into detail about that a little bit later. And the 18th letter, what's going on? 18th letter. The 18th letter said, saw a chick on Twitter who at the FBI to stop the Passport Bros. Once again, these women are trying to use the government to hurt brothers just like the past. I'm going to address that in a minute. And yeah, so to those brothers that were critiquing my interview, there are certain things that just, FD Signifier was my guest, right? And so if you see some of these conversations with the big news anchors, or with some of these talking heads, when they interview people or when they have conversation with people on their platform, you have to be a little bit more gracious, and kind of even a little conciliatory, which I don't know how much I was, but just a bit more gracious is where I'll go with it. And to the person that I'm speaking about, who I'm saying created some of the content, kind of poking fun at Austin, the threat of build it here, become a uber wealthy person, or you don't deserve vagina, and you don't deserve intimacy, and you don't deserve love. If that's the case, you know it's it's animal and it's human to find the path of least resistance. That's just a thing on this planet. Not even just animal or human. That's just a thing on this planet. And if the path of least resistance is an American-born woman who's not black, or a foreign woman, that's where brothers are gonna go. That's where men are gonna go. Not even just black men. That's where men are gonna go. And so if we're saying that you don't deserve a woman until you at least make six figures, and if you want kids, you got to make at least 300 some odd $1,000. It's just not. That's not a thing. And so if we're gonna poke fun at Austin Holloman and the Passport Bros because they thought they found the path of least resistance, and no, that's why I told y'all to stay over here and become six-figure men. Ha ha ha! That's what you get for trying to go overseas and do it for a cheaper route. No, no. Right? No. Right? So that's that. Now addressing Eric Deadman and like I said, you heard what I just said, so I addressed it a little bit, right? So thank you, Eric, and thank you, Eric, for your super chat. And to the 18th letter, yeah, brother, I spoke about that already. Which is that Kim from Fort Harriet tried to pull that stunt a few weeks ago, with the maybe the government needs to get involved, investigating Passport Bros because these men tend to be abusers, and I fear. Essentially, she was trying to pull the I fear for these women that they're going to bring back from overseas, and how these men are going to treat those women. She tries to pull one of those stunts, and we know she don't actually care about those women. It's a power flex. And I say to Kim, for a woman that openly admitted they can't really be in a relationship with blue-collar black men, they're not interested. For a woman that has condescended and that's Kim's tone right there. Ooh, the condescending. Whew, whoa, like, wow. Super Saiyan 4 level condescending. But for a woman who's condescended, who's said that they don't go to protest for black men because black men don't show up for black women. For a woman who said all of these type of things, who couches her misandry behind, who got off watching Brittany Renner go around insulting black men and essentially calling black men BANs, right? I hope y'all know what I mean by BANs. BANs, and you got off on that. And you admitted you kind of got off on that. Because you saw it as promising. For a black woman who said that, for a black woman who said that she doesn't go to black protest for black men's deaths because black men don't show up for black women. For a black woman who said all of that, for you then to turn around and have a problem with Passport Bros is a no. That's no. That's a no-go. No. You're admitting that you are, and for a black woman who admitted that they can be pretty much insufferable, to then turn around and have a problem with Passport Bros. Passport Bros exist, Kim, because of women like you. And I think you know that. And what you're attempting to do is use white daddy government, which I don't even believe in that term. I'm saying that because of you. You're attempting to use white daddy government to force black men to deal with women like you who don't even want the masses of black men that are blue collar, but you want them to still do and occupy. This is that hive model that Nameless is talking about. You still want them to be worker bees, even though you and other women like you aren't interested in men like them. Right? You are not interested. You think you're better than men like them, but you still want men like them to marry other women who you think you're better than also, let's be honest. I still want these men to do for the other women, and for the other women who are not on my level to have a man. So I need you to be here. You men who I think I'm better than, I need you to be here. I need you to be worker bees. I need you to provide. I need you to protect. So I can't have you being passport bros, and I definitely can't have you being loud about it, because you being loud about it is embarrassing. And let's be very clear, she was right. Most Americans don't have passports. Most black people in America don't have passports. They're not going nowhere. True. But the fact that the passport bros are so loud, Kim from Fort Harriet and other women like her find it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to them. Number one. Number two, where y'all think y'all going? We need y'all to build and do here, even though women like me chastise men like you for not building and doing. We know we bullshitting. So we need y'all to actually be here and do it while we tell y'all not doing it. We need y'all to be here and do while we tell y'all the white man's ice is colder. Right? So, to the 18th letter and what he was saying, yeah, they're going to try to get the government involved. That's the same thing they did. What country was it in Northern Europe? That's the same thing they did there. The white women did to the white men over there. Hey, let's get the government involved because these guys are going to Thailand to go find wives. We need them to be here. Sir Anthony, bruh. That's hysterical. And Sir Anthony said, Kim's superpower is her ability to make a man go flaccid. Oh my God. Oh man, hysterical. That's funny. Sir Anthony with the jokes early morning. Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah. You imagine, and I've said that before, you imagine Cynthia G whispering in your ear, oh my God. Or you imagine Kim from Fort Harriet being your girlfriend, talking all this crap about black men, just couching it like constructive criticism and tough love, and I need black men to do better, but really she despises niggas because, let's be honest, I'm not going to say it, but y'all know. You imagine some of these women that the way you imagine Real Talk with Yanni. Real Talk with Yanni got body, but you imagine all that sass. You're not gonna want to jump off a bridge if Real Talk with Yanni's your girlfriend. You're not gonna be I really want to say the word because the word fits so much, but you're not gonna be in like self-delete mode if Real Talk with Yanni is your girlfriend. All that unnecessary sass, and yes, she could be put it on for the internet. Let's be very clear, that could be her internet personality. But you imagine shout out to the African brother who married Paris Milan, but you imagine Paris Milan being your wife, thinking that she's better than other people, but she doesn't use profanity even though she says the letter of the word, the first letter of the word. And she's extra rude and sassy and mean. Right? You imagine being connected romantically with these people? Mean, sassy, condescending. Materialistic, consumerist. You imagine that? You could say what you want to say about Mr. Z, but you imagine being romantically connected to people like this who despise black men. They're with you, but they despise black men. You imagine being connected to Chrissy, talking about colorism all the time? God forbid you glance you glanced in the direction of a light-skinned black woman. You imagine? Shout out to the brother, whoever the brother is who had the baby with Lexus Exodus. You didn't see that neo-Nazi coming? I mean that in both ways, pun intended. Same thing with the one who had a child with crystalline kerosene. Y'all brothers ain't see that? Come on, man. Listen to these women talk and realize that they're fretting about black men. But what black men really want to get to know you? Like I said, real talk, when Yanni got a body now, all right, outside of that, what black men really want to be connected to you anyway romantically? Listen to how you talk. If your YouTube personality is the real you, saying that, assuming your YouTube personality is the real you, what? You're a mean, sassy a-hole. And outside of a man maybe wanting to stick something in your a-hole, what else does he really... Thank you, Spain Man. Paris might be somewhere laughing it up how gullible her subbies are while tricking on her black men. And that's my thing, right? You know, she told you, we live in a capitalist society. And when she was scared that because she was kind of attached to some of those really far neo-Nazi divestors, she was scared her channel could be, you know, maybe taken down or maybe investigated or whatever. And she let y'all know. Same thing with Chrissy. Chrissy tried to get at the black manosphere in the red pill space by essentially saying, y'all doing it for the money too. Listen, y'all are doing it for the money too. Y'all not ethical. She was essentially saying, y'all are not ethical also. I want you to hear that. First of all, questionable whether we're not ethical. But what you're saying implies that you're not ethical and you're doing it for the money, but so are we. Once again, some brothers is doing this for the money. Most of us aren't. Most of us are true believers. But you're saying, and that's why y'all see Chrissy hopping from trend to trend. Same thing with Paris Milan. Same thing with Real Talk with Yanni. Right? Trell, man, Trell is funny, y'all. Low key, Trell is funny. He said, you two on YouTube. We need to have like a nerd joke like runoff between between Trell and Toya. Oh man, that's funny. But yeah, so you know, yeah, so when you hear, that's why Mr. Z listens to these women, because every once in a while, like I told a brother FD, they slip up and tell you stuff like that. Thank you. Like I said, I'm not doing this for the money. I appreciate you guys' donations and what donations. Shout out to Dr. Umar Johnson. Donations. I appreciate it, right? I appreciate the little money. Thank you, right? But I'm not doing it for the money, right? I live in South Florida. For me to live off of the money y'all give, I would have to make more money than I'm making now from my jobs. I would. To be honest with you, I would have to it would have to be maybe at least 5, 6 times more money, right? Something like that. For me to quit, first of all, I'm not quitting my jobs. I just don't like the non-stable thing. Like that scares the hell out of me. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Like that's why I do 9 to 5s, because, and shout out to all the entrepreneurial brothers. Uh, I I I congratulate y'all so much and pat y'all on the back so much for being able to live month to month and like save what you can save. But like I can't do it, right? The rise and fall thing, the not steady paycheck, I shout y'all out once again for being able to do that, but Mr. Z ain't built like that, right? But like I was saying, the ladies that are living off of their YouTube money now, like I said, Paris, Chrissy, Real Talk with Yanni, and they just jump from trend to trend of how black men ain't ish. Shout out to them. But they're going to continue to produce that type of content. Let's say tomorrow black women were like, yeah, we're over this. We don't want to hear how black men ain't ish no more. They would switch up and they'll be like, you know, black men have been doing really good. Because they're just producing the same, like the brother that said coping mechanism. That was nameless. Yeah, just coping mechanism content. That's what they're doing. Black single women, black women that are not necessarily happy with their life, right? Their material life, their romantic life. They're not happy with the type of men that do approach them, right? They feel like they're being relegated to working class and poor men, and they really want an extravagant lifestyle. That's where Chrissy and Paris and Real Talk with Yanni come in. That's where they come in. Kim kind of come in the same space, but Kim speaks a little bit better, right? Her vocabulary and her concepts are a little bit larger. So she's for the women that think they're above it. Same type of Chrissy and Real Talk with Yanni and Paris Malone type of stuff, just I'm of this class and I speak this way, right? I'm more educated. I went to Ivy League. I went to Ivy. I went to a second tier school. I'm better than that. But they still feel the same way as the people that consume Real Talk with Yanni content. They just think they're above it. Right? So yeah, man, yeah. Paris and all of them, they're eating. Ooh, they eating. Hundreds of thousands of subscribers, donating their little money that they don't got when you do a live, watching your videos, posting in your comments how black men ain't ish, while simultaneously telling you they haven't had sex and haven't been in a relationship for a decade. Right? They're in Khadijah's comments. They're in Kim from For Harriet's comments telling you they're a virgin at 28. I'm not making fun of that. I'm just saying. They haven't been in a real relationship in 5, 6, 7, 8 years. They're 37. Don't see themselves ever getting married or having children. The old Stefcos, essentially. And once again, to the brother FD, until y'all address that, brother, ain't no talk. I talk. Shout out to the brother Edward Anderson. I'll be the diplomat. But the rest of the brothers, they don't want to hear none of that until y'all address that. You can't even get Kim to come off of her perch, let alone Chrissy, Real Talk with Yanni, Paris Malone, and then all the way to Lexus Exodus and Mahogany Pink. Which Mahogany Pink hasn't created anything in like, I don't know, 8, 9 months. So, you know, she hasn't put out anything on her channel in 8, 9 months. Maybe even longer than that. But y'all, if y'all can't even get Kim from For Harriet Kim Foster, if y'all can't even get her to calm down with the rhetoric, y'all really are not going to get Lexus Exodus to come off that. Thank you, Spain Man. They believe in censorship, not engagement. Exactly. As evidenced by the tweet I think Dr. Johnson and Dr. Curry tweeted, or I think Dr. Curry tweeted it, showed it, or retweeted it, and then Dr. Johnson retweeted it. Either way, I might be getting it mixed up, but the one where the sister was, well, I don't know why I said sister, but y'all are gonna see why when I tell you what egregious type of thing she said, which is black women should have been freed and black men should have been still on the plantation, or something along those lines. Right? Like, anyone listening, from Kim to FD or whoever's listening in, that y'all can't lie. Black men not saying stuff like that. Black men are not advocating for aborting black girls. Black men are not saying black men should have been freed and black women should have still been on the plantation. We're not getting, not only are we not saying that, let me be very clear. We're nowhere near that language. Nowhere near it. We're a million miles away from that type of rhetoric. We're a million miles away from that type of rhetoric. We're so far away from that rhetoric, we're getting our passports and leaving. Ooh, goddamn, Mr. Z. Y'all believe in the censorship, not us. Like I told the brother FD, you know we won't dox you. We won't try to get your channel taken down. That's not what the Black Manosphere do. We will debate you to the death. And like I told him, we will get off on you, off on it. We will have conversations with you. We will debate you. We will agree with what we agree with. We will disagree with what we disagree with. But we won't, all this other stuff that the sisters be on, or the black women be on, we don't do that stuff. Right? And that speaks to that kind of censorship. Oh, they're not talking the way we want them to talk. Oh, I feel slighted. I feel aggrieved. So we got to censor them, shut them down. And I didn't screenshot it, but I remember there was a comment that I read from a black woman like that. So look, let's go through it. You got black women saying we should have been still on the plantation. You got black women like Kim saying the government should investigate passport bros. You have black women saying these manosphere guys shouldn't have a microphone. The same women that are perfectly okay with the bigger long character being written into the Harriet movie. Turn around, as a matter of fact, not even okay with it. They say it should have been written in there because that's what black men are on. Right? And those same people then turn around and say manosphere guys, black manosphere guys shouldn't have a microphone. You know what we don't say? Oprah should have never had a microphone. We disagree with her vehemently, and somebody will say that kind of like colloquially, not colloquially, like figuratively, but not literally mean that she should have never been able to speak. We just say, all right, that's how y'all feel. Wait until we get our mic. We don't say things like that. We're not for censorship. Toya said, could have did without Oprah. Yeah. So that's censorship. I mean, we in a way, what we've done with black men, I wouldn't call it censorship, but we seriously hampered their voice over the past few decades. And much of that is how we got to where we are now. Much of that led to us being where we are now, with women sounding like the therapists. And even FD having to say, yeah, that might have we might have let that get a little too out of hand. We might have let the black men ain't ish rhetoric get to it. And like I told him, and I'll say it now again, if there was no black manosphere, we don't think y'all would have ever addressed it. And he didn't really have nothing to say about that. Because he knows it's true. If it wasn't for black men like me, like BGS, like Sarge Willie Pete, like Dr. T, Dr. Rod O'Neal, Dr. Tommy Curry, Dr. Green Gorilla, Dr. Thunder, Dr. Dunbar, goddamn, Nameless, Charles, all of us, Ed, Bernard, Obsidian, Angry Man, goddamn, I'm not gonna name it, I'm gonna be here forever. But if it wasn't for us, and not just those of us who are a little bit calmer in our rhetoric, all the way to the fire breathers like Ed, all across the spectrum, if it wasn't for us in one way, in our own individual way, saying this is some BS, if it wasn't for that, y'all would have let, like I told him, y'all would have let a woman like that become president and never say anything. Because y'all let it get this far. Y'all let it get so far. Like I said, even Tiffany Cross said, yeah, I'm paraphrasing once again. Yeah, we know women in my position tend to be a bit condescending to the black men. Right? Y'all would have let that rhetoric go forever. How many of y'all ever said anything like, yeah, Oprah taking this a little too far, would keep on bringing in these weirdo black feminists, legitimating black feminist rhetoric? Huh? Y'all didn't even see anything wrong with Tiffany Cross. It was us that made a big hoopla about it. Y'all didn't see anything wrong with that original mission statement for BLM. So when the brother FD pretty much said, you know, we're working behind the scenes, I'm like, are you? And people always say that. Y'all don't know what we're doing behind the scenes. We having these conversations behind the scenes, behind the scenes. But we never see nothing move. So are you? Okay, granted. First of all, we don't believe you. But okay, granted, you are, and y'all have been having these conversations behind the scenes. We don't see anything changing or moving. So are you? And how long have you been saying it? Because if you've been having this conversation behind the scenes after the black manosphere started to blow up, then that means you would have never had the conversation. Outside influence made you have the conversation. And that outside influence and that pressure is the black manosphere. So the brother could say we're insignificant as much as he wants. Are we? Right? Are we? You know, so like I said, I appreciate the brother for coming on and having that conversation with me. Shout out to the brother Ed. I would implore him, and maybe he did later, but to listen to it without cutting it just all the way through. I would implore Ed Subbies to listen to the conversation all the way through. And yeah, like I said, you're still gonna see things that you disagree with me on, things I could have did better on, but I think just letting it flow would let you see where I actually kind of pushed him back a little bit, where I stood firm, the things that I didn't, you know, let slide. But you have to listen to it while you just have to let it play and let it flow. And yeah, so, you know, that's pretty much all I wanted to kind of get out. Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, you know, and shout out to that brother. I know I'm stepping on some toes right now. I think Roger's getting on right now. So yeah, yeah. So, you know, oh yeah, and I have to make the video shouting out all the super chats from that live. So like I said, I'm gonna write it down and write down the actual comments, and I'm gonna get back to you guys with that. Yeah. And F Holiday said, "You did it your way, Z, and you did good." Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah, and that's just me though. If y'all hear me, I'll be like, "Okay, Z, you doing a little too much." That's how Z operate. Like I have a tendency to kind of beat up on myself with certain things, when I'm like, damn, you could have did better on that. You could, yeah, you could have, yeah, you could have did better on that. That's just a me thing. That's not, that is not necessarily coming from anybody else or whatever. That's just a me thing. That's just usually how I think and move. And for the good and bad of it, there's a good of it because that's much of why I am where I am now in life. But for the bad of it is sometimes people like you guys got to hear Mrs. E go on about, yeah, I could have did better. Damn it. Um, and my girl has actually talked to me about that. My own mom and dad have talked to me about that. Definitely my mom. But yeah. So we will end it out right here. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, so y'all don't sound like some of these people who are in their bubble telling us that we're in our bubble. I guess it was the bubble wars. And we trying to pop each other's bubble. I don't like the way that sounds. Right? So yeah, like I said, and yeah, some intellectuals could be in their bubble too. Y'all know I worked for the Florida Democratic Party. They thought there was no way Hillary wasn't going to win that 2016 election. And I kept on telling them, all right now. But once again, that's what happened when you're in your bubble and you don't realize the anger coming from the bottom, coming from working class white folks, coming from even some middle class and upper middle class white folks. You're in your bubble. And you think we care about Hillary Clinton and her policy wonkiness, right? Don Calypso said, you might want to trademark the Bubble Wars phrase too, ASAP. Actually, yeah, not that one, yeah. Because it really is. I mean, in 2 minutes, I got to move out the way because I know Roger's up. The Bubble Wars, it actually makes sense if you think about it, because if we're all in our echo chambers and we're all listening to the people that reaffirm or what's the word I'm looking for? Regurgitate our own worldviews. The word wasn't regurgitate, but I couldn't get it out. Then we are in our own bubble, right? And so we are having the bubble wars because it's and I agree with FD on this. The algorithm is feeding us echo chamber-y type of things, and we are in our own bubbles, and then we're looking at other people in their bubble saying you're in a bubble, because they are, but we're in our own bubbles too. And some of us less so, right? I would argue this side of the Black Manosphere that I occupy aren't necessarily in our own bubbles in that way. But if I was to concede that, okay, we are in our own bubbles, I would say they're in their own bubbles too. And it is the bubble wars, right? And I might need to make a video about that. How the algorithm allows you to curate your own reality, and then you live in that bubble, talking about other people in their bubbles who are also biased and have been able to curate their own reality. And so it's the alternative facts bubble wars, right? And I think that's what we're dealing with, where people are like, well, no, you're in your bubble. And you're like, no, you're in a bubble, right? And you can see it when people come outside and like, who thinks like, what are you saying? Especially, at least and I'll give them this, at least they come with like facts, even though they misinterpret it, or they might say we come with facts and we misinterpret it. But the FDs and the Kim from Fort Harriets and definitely Julesy, shout out to Julesy for that. As much as we disagree with their interpretation for stuff, and this is where FD was like, yeah, I agree with y'all on this, but y'all interpretation. So at least we didn't have the post-structural conversation. And now we don't agree that this is a fact. Thank God me and FD didn't go there, because this conversation would have got so insane, it would have been ridiculous. At least we agree with a set of facts, and then we disagree with the other person's interpretation. The bubble wars is, I don't even agree with the facts. I don't even think those are facts. you don't even have facts. You just have opinions, and the opinions are so strong that you believe in them so much that you've surrounded yourself with other people that agree with that, and you're in your bubble, right? So at least we didn't have me and FD didn't have that conversation. All right. Thank you. And Spainman, that's what I'm saying. Spainman says not a bubble built on feelings and theory, and that's what I'm describing. That's what I was just describing. Thank you. Right? Thank you, Spainman. That's another one. FD pulled that white moderate stuff. Yeah, we could rock with you if you disavow so and so first. Yeah, pretty much that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did. And that's why I kept on saying, are you trying to Barack Obama Reverend Wright me? Right? I'm not going to let you Barack Obama Reverend Wright me. Yes, I know we have brothers in this space that are more fire breathers, brothers that are not in this space that are fire breathers that y'all want to attach to us, but I'm not doing that. You know? And it's my integrity. My integrity would not. I hated seeing the dominant white society do that to Barack Obama and Reverend Wright, do that to Michael Eric Dyson and Cornel West, do that. I'm tired of seeing them do that. Right? Do that to black men and black women, and I'm gonna turn around and do that to the brothers in space? Nah. Oh crap. Big Kev said one of FD's guests threatened Dr. Tommy Curry. Dr. Curry, okay. I did not know that. I did not know that. All right. All right. Yeah, no, we can't do that. The man is all the way on the other side of the pond. Why y'all still talking? Right? Jesus Christ. And on that note, y'all, because I'm really stepping on toes now. But I'm gonna pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. And I'm gonna just go find something to eat and chill out until it's time to go to work. Right? I'm gonna just chill out for the rest of the day. Unless I see something on YouTube that's egregious, which like y'all said, I need to get some real rest. I slept good too. I had a good sleep. But and shout out for everybody worried about my sleep and my health. Thank you for the concern. Because even my girl looked at me when I woke up, and she woke up before me, and she was like quiet to not like wake me up, and I still woke up as the sunlight woke me up. And like when she was in the shower, and when she walked back in, she looked at me like, "Why are you up?" She didn't say it, but she looked at me like, "Why are you up?" I'm like, me and her have had this conversation. Like, I don't sleep like you, babe. Like, I don't. Like, I feel like if I wake up too late, no matter how much sleep I don't have, I feel like I let the day go by. And I did nothing. Even if I was going to do nothing like play video games, I didn't even do that. Like, I feel like I let the day go by. I didn't run any errands. I didn't do anything I needed to do. I just let the day go by, right? Even if I wanted to just lounge about during the day, I didn't even get to lounge about and enjoy the sunlight and not having to do anything during the day. Yeah. So, all right, y'all. I will truly pause right here. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Like I always say, go check out other Black Manosphere content and other non-Manosphere content, so at least your bubble could be bulletproof. Because you know what you're talking about. All right? All right, y'all. Later. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day.